Good morning, HWC kids. So this month in Kidsman, we're soaring up in the air as we learn about the life of Elisha. We're going to see how the sky has no limit when God is at work in our lives. We start our month with Elisha dreaming big dreams as he watched his friend and his mentor be zoomed off into heaven in a chariot of fire. But I want to talk about a different story this morning with you. Something that some of you may be a little bit familiar with because we talked about it in VBS this week. And if you weren't there, I'm guessing you've heard it before because it's an awesome story. So, do you remember the story of the little boy offering his lunch to the disciples and to Jesus so Jesus could feed a crowd of thousands and thousands of people? Let's read it together, okay? It was a beautiful sunny day as Jesus and his disciples crossed the Sea of Galilee in a boat with white sails. Jesus had been healing sick people, and many more people of all ages came to see him again that day. Maybe they could hear more of Jesus' stories or see him show God's power through another miracle. When Jesus saw the large crowd of men, women, and children, he asked his friend Philip, "How are we going to get enough food to feed all of these people?" Philip answered, "I could work for 6 months and not earn enough money to buy food for all these people." The disciples didn't know what to do. Just then, Andrew pointed to a young child and said, "Here is a boy who has 5 small loaves of bread and 2 fish. It's something, but it certainly isn't enough food for all of these people." The boy looked very nervous as he said in a small voice, "Jesus, please take my food if you think it will help." Jesus took the 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish that the boy offered and asked his friends to have the crowd sit down. About 5,000 people sat in the grassy meadows by the lake that day. And after Jesus gave thanks to God, he blessed the 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Then he shared the food with all of the people who were there that day. All of the people ate until they were full. Then Jesus said, "Now let's gather up all the leftovers." And do you know what? There was enough leftover pieces of bread to fill 12 large baskets, more loaves and fishes left over than the boy had given to Jesus. The disciples shook their heads in disbelief as they struggled to pick up the baskets heavy with food. The people saw the full baskets of leftovers and began to understand that something extraordinary had just happened, another miracle. Jesus smiled as he heard people say, "God must have sent Jesus to us." It was a day that the boy, the disciples, and all of the people would never forget. Isn't that amazing? Can you imagine if you took your tiny little school lunch and it suddenly turned into enough food to feed that many people? That little boy had a lot of faith and big hopes and dreams. He knew and trusted that God could do amazing things because with God, all things are possible. With God and Jesus, there is no limit. He fed 5,000 plus people with a humble little lunch. He healed people who had been sick their entire lives. He brought people back to life who had died. He died on the cross for us so we could be forgiven from our sins. With God, we can dream big dreams because he can make hopes and dreams come true. And with God, the little things in our life that we have to offer to God, like our muscles for serving people, our hands for comforting people, our minds for learning and growing, our hearts for loving people, our voices for telling others about God's love, and our talents for praising God, you name it. God can take those seemingly little things and use them to make a big difference in the world. So today, remember that with God, no dream is too big, especially if you offer what you have for God to use in big ways. Dream big, HWC kids, and have a great day.